Okay, this is my December 1st, 2022 monthly vlog for my course to develop an ecocentric worldview under Master of Science / ECO. And this is dedicated to a petit monsieur qui s'appelle Nicolas Simon, the Honourable Nicholas Simons. It's a follow-up to something that I have informed you about in the vlog that I dedicated to you yesterday. So I'm going to read this letter here. And it was sent to BC Ministry of Education, attention, Shelaina postings on January 16th, 2017. So in 2 months, it'll be 6 years. The response was very short. It was like, oh, if you are looking for work, just apply this way for our ministry. Okay, wow, four pages, misunderstood. Somebody that works in education. Dear Mrs. Postings, the purpose of this letter is to request support for my graduate research into British Columbia's K-12 curriculum, either via funding my research or creating a salaried position dedicated to facilitating the evolution of the educational system in BC through cultural repair work. First, let me provide you with a short section on my academic psychohistory. In 2011, I began my master's degree at Vancouver Island University with the intent of focusing my studies on the concept of sustainability. By the way, the concept of sustainability is also misunderstood at Selkirk College, okay, who I read recently also give themselves sustainability awards, and you can tell they don't know what they're talking about. They're using it in so many different ways, that word, which is not relevant to the definition of a system science, which sustainability is. For example, if they say they're specialist of environmental sustainability, you can tell, yeah, they're frauds. As time passed in the program, and as my interactions with professors, classmates, and sustainability-related on-campus groups took place, it became increasingly clear to me that the concept of sustainability as a whole was not only being greatly misunderstood, but also significantly misinterpreted. By the way, I said this to a guy who's a specialist at computer science maybe, and also sustainability at Selkirk College, and also it's not a conversation he wanted to get into. Nobody actually at that college there wants to get in the right conversations. So, writing these letters again is a waste of time. I began to develop a growing sense of aloneness within my own paradigm, as well as a growing certainty that I was getting into more student debt that the quality of my education could justify. By the way, Canada canceled my student loans, but BC didn't after I reported this. After a change of thesis supervisor, the general annoyance of changing my topic a few times to please said supervisors, and, most importantly, an urgent sense of need to do my part in repairing a failing culture, I realized that the only topic with which I could, in good conscience, continue was research that would address the ways in which we educate our young people. As educators, policymakers, and role models, what is it about our approach to education that is failing young learners by developing memes of anthropocentrism as opposed to those of ecocentrism? My proposed research would seek to provide a quantitative measure of the extent to which our new curriculum encourages or discourages the development of life-promoting, that is to say, ecocentric worldviews. If you're not ecocentric, by the way, you're not pro-life. So if somebody uses that term, probably by the time they finish using it, I can tell they're not ecocentric. Especially if it's related to abortion and their fundamental religious people, it's not pro-life. I took a leave of absence from my program in September 2015 due to my sense of an absence of support from my faculty in the last 2 years of program. Since then, I have been doing independent research in order to validate two beliefs that I have concerning BC's education, and at all age levels. By the way, a lot of my research is posted on my YouTube, over more than 900 videos. The concepts of accountability, Earth system science, which is planetary cybernetics, sometimes we can name it that way, or sustainability, metapsychology, and I define this as observing our own thoughts and feelings, as well as life skills. And then there's a little one, which I'll define after. are largely ignored. Accountability, earth system science, metapsychology, and life skills. Failing, and now number 2 beliefs that I have concerning the education here in BC, not just here, but failing to equip our young people with these critical thinking, system science, and innovative problem-solving abilities, and also the PhD professors failing to equip them, is to utterly fail in our solemn duties to this next generation. As educators, and yes, I call myself an educator, in many ways I have worked, I have volunteered, and I have trained to deserve that title. We should not be acting as economists, rolling the dice on some idealized future. And we do this because reality is getting harder and harder to accept. So number 1, I'm explaining life skills. It is important to clarify that life skills are not the same as living skills. Living skills are day-to-day tasks involved in activities such as personal hygiene, food preparation, housekeeping, daily schedules, and banking. Life skills are ways of thinking and acting that improve a person's capabilities for interacting with others as well as with themselves through self-reflection. To be truly capable of critical thinking and effectively engaged with the practice of accountability, a community's members must first have mastered and then consistently practice true life skills. In the absence of this practice, application of the term civilization amounts to species self-denial. By the way, that's me. I wrote this. It's not quoted from anywhere. And by the way, I am a trained life skills coach from Malaspina University College, and also worked in a contract as a life skills coach with them, and that led me later to have a VIU status as well when I tutored some of their students who had confirmed disabilities with that department. Now, and I got a letter reference from that teacher. So I kind of know what I'm talking about, and that's why when I mentioned Community Living BC, I've already done research with them. They don't know what life skills are. They should not mix them up. It's very bad to not actually know the difference. While I have been improving my skill set related to working with children of all ages in order to develop a deeper understanding of the ways with which children learn, by the way, I'm talking to you with a certain tone. I don't have that tone with kids, and I don't have that tone with adults that want to be in a workshop or a training program. I have that tone with you and the ministry you're in charge of, and the way that the public servants treat me, as recently posted transparently again online. I constantly find my noble educational goals doomed to fail without the adequate supports from academic institutions I have attended and also from related provincial ministries. Therefore, I ask you here in this letter, if you will, not only commit to providing funding and support for my thesis research so that I can pursue this important work, but also commit to applying its resulting considerations. If not, then I ask that you please support me in eliminating my student loans, as well as to reimburse the tuition fees I paid for a selection of courses at various BC educational institutions since 2004. And that does not include the life skills coach training and also my counseling training, the 2 courses I took there. But it does include the mental health certificate, which I thought was very much about domestication and not about mental health. So I want to say as well that I'm not a complaining student who was lazy or whatever, as I've documented what I'm saying very well, including with emails with PhD professors, and I've also gotten an A- grade point average, and also status as staff. If you possess the same awareness and outrage as I experience regarding how educators and policymakers are failing BC's learners, then please help me. As a more pressing need does exist, resulting in my going into deeper financial hardship in order to acquire answers I needed as a culture repairer, I now seek your assistance in helping me create the proper learning environments as well as like-minded educators necessary for this upcoming generation of BC citizens to succeed. A generation that is yet to realize that they may very well be the last ones with no choice but to get it right, except with less tools than previous generations to get it right. So I just added this at the end. And I want to say as well that you could see my passion from, about 6 years ago here. And I can't deviate from this. And the more I refuse to be part of the problem, the more hardships I create. And it seems that a lot of the hardships also come from your own ministry. Could you please justify my staying in BC by allowing me a paid position at your ministry that would allow for creating real change when it comes to education in BC? Of course, I understand that this would require years of work and travel throughout BC, and I would be willing to do just such a thing. In fact, I think that as the only ecocentric humanist that I know, it would certainly be my proud duty, as well as an honourable purpose worth pursuing with complete dedication. And if this letter had been taken seriously 6 years ago, can you imagine how much progress I would have made? And again, this is not about getting financial support for a graduate thesis. This is about it can't work without their assistance. So I'm not going past my thesis draft if I know I'm wasting my time. So it's one of the reasons. This response that I got from that lady is one of the reasons that I'm not wasting my time when you need people like me to be working on solutions. So I don't need to waste my time to complete the thesis stage where the supervisors wouldn't have even wanted to show up because they'd be afraid to ask a ridiculous question as so-called sustainability experts. And also I wanted to say that humanism, almost a year ago, is a term I no longer use for myself because my theory has shown that we've passed the point to be able as a species to solve our own problems. So again, I write these time capsule contributions every 5 years, but I'm not writing this one from this year because it's a waste of time. You don't want to see the metapsychology of how you progress based on my theory so that you can acknowledge it exists and therefore take charge of your destiny as a species. You don't want to do that, so I'm not wasting my time with that either. And it is the last time that I'm giving the third year by myself as a student giving this course. When participating in philosophers' cafes and other public speaking events, I have repeatedly stated that we are living at a stage of human history, that has us all part of a great child abuse cultural delivery system that is affecting today's entire generation. We now domesticate instead of educate all children around the world. Why use the inflammatory term child abuse? Because all cultures have become so domesticated in their inefficient and ineffective ways of thinking that our species is about to leave an entire generation without the abilities to survive in an imminent future that will likely require them to function at the pinnacle of human resilience, collaboration, adaptation, and problem-solving abilities, things that I would teach in my course. Sadly, what is really occurring is that we are not only failing them in acquiring these life-saving skills, we are in fact training their minds to become less efficient. It's measurable. I can see it. That includes people that fight that I should be a certified teacher with them to have the right to educate. And they are doing this harm at the same time they're saying this. This breaks my heart. If it doesn't break yours, then please resign, or better yet, hire me to help you. As a culture peer, I am running out of reasons to stay in a broken culture that seems so stubbornly wanting to stay broken. Sincerely, Martin Parizeau, HUD. And again, if you want to challenge me on my title of Dr. Humanix, your name will be put on my YouTube as a challenge. It's accepted. Humanix Academy, a philanthropic pursuit. Please note from the address above that I am house-sitting for my father while he is away for the winter. You may correspond with me by email or the mailing address listed above. By the way, after such things, and also documented on a USB data stick, this letter and other things about your ministry and other parts of my life in BC and Canada, is I've offered this stick to Norway's immigration department, the UDI. And they sent me back, even though I had a good case. And then their lawyer, which they pay, who's supposed to serve me, appeals it, and they send me back. They pay a lot of money to send me back because they don't want to set a precedence, because they want to collaborate with you on, the oil industry, it seems. And so they don't want to set a precedent. So they send me back for more human rights violations here. So yes, eventually, before I die, it'd be nice to get an apology from Canada and Norway and other countries as well, like Japan and like Korea. It's countries I would go back to, and part of it is longitudinal research. I'd love to see how things have changed where I've been, including in Uganda where I've been. It's important as a social scientist to measure such things to understand, what makes the variety of the human domestication syndromes I talk about now at a stage where it's accelerating in a measurable way in one lifetime, although these are phenomenons that have existed for hundreds and thousands of years. Okay, so that's it. It's dedicated to you. You don't have to answer this part. It's probably way over your head. I mean, this is not stuff that you are kind of used to discussing. But maybe you'll respond to the one where you're the minister of the Ministry of Poverty Creation, or you'll just send it to somebody else to take care of, and they're so incompetent that you'll just keep getting responses from me. Hey, it's still not working. Stop avoiding me. Do something about the job you're in if you want to get your paycheck.